We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. As you can see, Backwoods is here. We are waiting on Roots. She's going to come up and participate with us today. As you can see,
That was me.
until she gets here, we're just going to go ahead and say hello to everybody. The first person I want to say hello to is Tiger454. Thank you for joining the membership. I appreciate that. We'll be following up this live with the membership live directly after tonight. So that'll be fun. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Much appreciated. There's Roots.
Hey guys.
There
Hey.
she is. I thought it would say scared roots.
Have we met?
All right. Who else we got? So we got Tiger. We got Native. What's going on, my brother? Obviously, Roots and Backwoods are here.
Native.
Grandma Merkel, what's going on? Yeah, we'll just hang out for a few minutes, let the chat populate, see if anybody else wants to come hang out with us. But Dove J, welcome. Forest Monster, cool name. I like that. Forest Monster. What's up? I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, so me and Backwoods been talking about this for a couple weeks. Back when we used to do the what would we do, or the what would Ghost do, or what would we do? The scenario stories. We hadn't done that in a while. We have been talking about doing it again, and I just shot him a text last night, and I'm like, dude, let's go live tomorrow and do a what would you do? And he was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So here we are. Sophia B, what's going on?
Sophia.
So I'm hoping that Miss Roots virtually real. I like that. Hoping that Roots and Backwoods. I'm hoping y'all ate some brain food, because I've got a good one for you. Now, the one that you got tonight, it's going to require some thinking, multiple level thinking. It's going to require time jumps in your mind, and where you get to walk me through what you see, or what you think you see, so to speak. And then it's 3 separate stages, and I'll have the caviars or the fish eggs, whatever you want to call them. To just kind of, it ain't hardcore stuff. It could be, just depends on how your brain works. But it's just I don't know, how would you put it? Kind of like what do they call that page in the front of a book?
The intro.
That it kind of summarizes everything a little bit. That you kind of know
what
summary.
Forward. Is that it? Forward.
Yeah, forward. Yeah.
Forward. Yeah. That's kind of the way I set this story up. It's kind of a forward, but you get to tell your own story, so to speak. It's gonna be weird. Ohio Prepper Steading, what's going on? TT1, what's happening? Prologue. Dove J, what's going on?
Hi everybody. Ohio Steading. Everyone goes said. Then I don't have to go back and forth to the screen. But I gotta say, you guys did this like almost 2 years ago. You guys were doing the what would Ghost do, and you were doing the scenarios together.
Yeah.
I've missed that shit, man. I've missed it.
Well, yours was like one of the first ones, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, because yours required some detail. I remember, because we were emailing each other back and forth because yours was like a really, really good one. Yours, I think yours and the one I did for the couple in Australia were probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were really fun ones. But they were all fun. I ain't gonna lie, they were all fun. But yeah, they were really good. So y'all ready to get started?
Whenever you are.
What do y'all think, chat? Y'all ready to watch smoke come out of Backwoods ears? Years turning.
I don't know, man. It's pretty oiled up, man. I oiled it up earlier, man. Yeah.
You must. Well, as long as you use some of that good Chevrolet lubricant, you'll be all right. If you use that Ford stuff, it may seize up any minute.
That's true.
Nah, I looked at a can of Chevrolet fluid and it was like, yeah, that's like,
okay. Y'all ready?
Let's go.
All right. Well, I wrote it specifically the lead on for Backwoods, but it applies to you too, Roots. All right, you're sitting in your shop or your basement or your closet or whatever. You're actually on YouTube doing a live stream. You're on a panel with me, Native, Tribe, and Hutch. And all of a sudden, your phone starts to issue an emergency alert warning. You get the beeps, beep, beep, kind of like an Amber Alert, and your phone starts making that warning. So you look down at your phone, and it says, pause for the instructions or whatever, and your phone just goes black. It just boom, it's gone before you get any instructions of what's going on or anything. So you immediately look back to your laptop, because you're on the live stream right now, and you can see that that we're all looking confused, like what's going on. We're all looking at our phones too, because we all got the alert. Everybody's looking a little bit confused and worried and wondered, except for Hutch. He's stoned out of his mind. He's laughing. He's fine. He's good to go. And just when you start to ask a question, just when you look back to the screen and you're like, hey, did y'all's phone? Boom, it goes dark. The net's down. Everything goes dark. Nothing works. No power, no lights, no vehicles, no nothing. You're completely, everything's gone. All right, run me through the next 2 weeks of your life.
Okay. Well, the first thing, that I was thinking was about, checking everything, and you establish that by saying, that no cars, no nothing, nothing works. So I'm gonna assume that there's an EMP. I'm gonna assume that there's an EMP. So I think what the first thing I'm going to do is obviously go in there and start establishing some firearms, and start establishing a perimeter with a few of the people that I know, and we're going to start establishing perimeters. And I'm really, 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 really big on security. I don't like lack of security. I'll put it that way. I think security is super important. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is start getting the security stuff in place and in order, and seeing what's going on. From there, the first, we're going to set up schedules, for security and stuff like that. We're going to set that up, get that going. The next thing I think I'm going to do is pretty immediately is start hitting a couple of my buddies and saying, hey, let's go see what we can, go scout, go find out, get me some intel. I need intel. Because I'd asked this question once before, and the reason why I hadn't said about getting my electronics out of the Faraday cage yet is because I've asked this question, and I get a lot of the same answer, but we really and truly don't know about an EMP. When it goes off, can it create enough static electricity in the atmosphere for a certain amount of time that it may be detrimental to your electronics when you pull them out? Now, a lot of people say that your EMP is, like bam, it's just right away. That's it. It's gone. Okay. That may be the case. I'm going to say that if I know for sure that it's been an EMP, I'm going to wait before I pull my electronics out. I'm gonna get intel on my immediate area, and we can do that by scouting, things like that. So I'm gonna have the security set up, security detail, and then scouting is gonna, and from there, because one thing I have heard a lot of, and everybody that, whether you know this or not, or whether y'all checked into it or not, a lot of commanders or these leaders that are going to shoot off an EMP, they'll wait for like 24 hours and then and shoot another EMP off. So keep that in mind, and that's something that I would keep in mind, and I wouldn't be worried about communicating long range for a little while. I would wait until I make sure the EMPs are done, make sure that I don't have any problems with you know what I'm saying, with like going out into the pulling my stuff out and there be too much electricity or too much static charge. And that's pretty much the way that's going to roll to get going.
That's a good 2 weeks. All right, what about you, Roots? How do you see those 2 weeks?
I'm going to be battening down the hatches. I agree with what Backwood said. In fact, I didn't know about maybe that 3-day window or 24 hours to expect another. But I think in a situation like that, that's when all of you become virtually real. I can't do shit. You're 3,500 miles away. I cannot worry about you. I cannot worry about anything but myself. First of all, if you don't put on your own mask first, you cannot save the children. So I'm going to make sure my own self is secure. And as mommy, my boys, right away, I would be gathering them up. But based on where I am, there's only one way in and out of the entire location. So I would be staying put. I am not going to leave this location because I might not have a way back if it really was hitting the fan. Luckily, I've got myself stacked up enough to get by for a little while. But on a serious tip, I am holding in place until, like Backwood said, more information comes in, a better idea of what exactly has happened. I'm not going to go venture out and try and be a hero in that moment. I'm going into mommy mode, and I am shuttering down, boarding up the walls, and cooking with garlic.
I feel you. All right, those are pretty good two-week plans, I think. I mean, because number one, it's not a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Number two, you don't have any intel coming in unless you can put your eyes on it. You can't believe it. So you got no phone, no lights, no vehicles, no nothing. So if you're out in the sticks and nobody lives close to you, you're really not even getting word of mouth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So for those first 2 weeks, it's just going to be, checking your preps. I mean, we're all preppers, so 2 weeks, we've all got it. We better have way over 2 weeks worth of food and water, so that shouldn't be the issue. The issue is just going to be security and trying to gain intel, and waiting for the counterpunch. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At least in my mind. In the first 2 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, you're going to see what people are made of. You're gonna in the first 2 weeks, there's going to be super, super high casualties. There's going to be mass evacuations. There's going to be panic. There's going to be blood in the streets. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is to stay the fuck out of everybody's way. Let them weed each other out. Make it past that 2 weeks. Okay, next. All right, after the 2 weeks, nothing has changed. You have a neighbor that lives 5 miles away, and he has a ham radio. And you make the 10-mile round trip, or you've made the 10-mile round trip down there to chat with him because he has a ham radio. And he said that he's starting to get spotty stories in about a possible EMP attack, but no information on who did it or anything. So you're still in the dark. Nothing works. And that there's a rumor that there may have been an EMP attack. There was no confirmation of an explosion in the sky. There was no bright lights in the middle of the night. Maybe there was. You didn't see them, but there isn't any word of that. So it's been 2 weeks. Nothing has changed. Everything's still dark. You don't know what happened. You heard that it might be an EMP. Now, take me through the next 2 months. You go first, Roots.
Well, there are advantages and disadvantages to being surrounded by military. And I'll be straight up. I think in that 2 months, again, because of my location, I'm pretty sure information, which is our most important tool, would get around pretty quickly. I'm pretty confident, based on the people I know and the people around me, that I'd have an idea whether to continue to stay in place or not. Because leaving this place, really, truly, it could be leaving everything. And that's going to take a lot for me to do because, like I said, there's only one way in and out. I think I want to say it's Buddha, but I might be misrepresenting who quoted this. But our greatest weapon is the enemy's mind. So I'm still going to be in intel mode, and I'm going to be weeding people out, and I'm probably still going to be in place, and I will be fine as far as eating, surviving, things like that. I'm going to rely on knowing the number of safety precautions around me. Look, if the military turns into our enemy, we're all, it's a matter of time for all of us, right? But as long as they don't, there is a safety net there in my environment.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, I wanted to address that real quick. Random is trying to chat and nobody can see her. I can't see her either.
Me either.
I don't see her. Nope.
And neither Monique as well.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
That's the first time I've heard of anything like that happening.
Huh.
That's weird.
It is weird. I don't see them at all, even back here.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I was.
Is it showing a red line next to, like, let's say Jen or Monique, is it showing a red line next to your name right when you try to say something? Yeah, that's messed up.
Sophia's got a good point. She said to check and see if YouTube has an update, restart your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Or your phone or whatever device you're using. But yeah, that's the first I've heard of that. But even if y'all can't chat, I can still say hey to you. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, and it's not even. I'm trying to at Monique or them, and it's not coming up.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
None of it is.
It's weird because that's
She
really.
She said she updated yesterday.
I have no idea. Close the window and reopen it. See if that'll help.
Yeah, try that. If it's because if it should show in your YouTube channel, you know, Ghost, it should show if they've been blocked somehow.
Yeah, I haven't blocked anybody.
Yeah, no, I know you didn't. I'm just saying in case. But
Yeah,
yeah, go.
it doesn't show me anything at all. And I'm in live chat, but it's not showing anything.
What's up, Constitutional?
Okay.
Hey, Consti. All right, 2 weeks back, or excuse me, 2 months back was.
So the next 2 months, okay, we have got our security perimeters established by the time this comes around, you know, and my point after the 2 weeks into the first couple of months, after the 2 weeks of kind of getting everything locked down, and then obviously, you know, I feel we should be able to pull out electronics. I'm going to try to start establishing a communication chain with someone. My most important thing I would think would be to use your electronic devices quickly and then get off of them, stick them back in the Faraday cage, because whoever EMP'd us may wait a month and hit us again. So don't take that for granted. Do not take that for granted. Okay. The next thing is obviously we're going to start going around town and around the surrounding areas and trying to you know, get with people and set up some real like community. You know what I'm saying? Establish some grounds and you know, establish a security perimeter further out. We're going to go look for vehicles pre-80s, because more than likely a lot of them are still going to run. I know, you know, like in this old town, we have a lot of classic cars around here, have a lot of old vehicles, you know. So we're going to start trying to establish some vehicles, you know, some transportation. From there, scheduling. I mean, scheduling is going to be, we're going to have to figure out what kind of, you know, preps. Like, you know, I know what I have, but I don't know what that person's got. I don't know what that person's got. I don't know how long this person, you know, because my personal belief is that we're going to pretty quickly lock down the grocery stores.
Mm.
You know, grocery stores, the Dollar General, the Walmart, because the one thing you got to understand is police vehicles are not going to work either. So the police are not going to be out patrolling and helping. So we're going to be the patrol. And, you know, from there, I mean, it's just, to me, it's kind of a, you know, depending on if we can get communication outside, you know, but to me, I think going out further than your 5 mile or 10 mile radius, depending on where you live and how that is set up, I think is should be in your first 2 months. That should be a complete set up lockdown situation. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
we got that perimeter set and it's ready. You know, we can handle our business, and I'll stop there because that's within the first 2 months. You know.
Yeah, all those are, both of y'all had some really good points. They all make sense. Here's one thing that's came at me out of left field when I was thinking about it. I think the hardest part about the first 2 months is going to be the not knowing, and it's going to be the conspiracy theories, and it's going to be everybody's different ideas on who did this, what did they do, exactly how did they do this to us, why, what's coming next, is something coming next, you know, and then everybody's obviously going to be on the defensive, and you're going to be, you know, shuttering down and trying to make your little groups, you know, because, you know, there's strength in numbers. You can't do anything alone. But yeah, I think the hardest part about that 2 weeks is no communication from anybody. You're not getting any intel. And you really, even though it was a rumor there was an EMP, doesn't necessarily mean there was an EMP. You know, it could have been a CME. It could have been, or it could have been an EMP. But who would have done that to us? You know what I mean? And like the way my mind works, it's like, why and what's the reason? There's got to be a reason for doing that. And why only one so far, and why nothing else? You know, I want to know. I'm playing chess. I want to know, like 5 moves down the road, what should I need to be getting ready for? And without getting any information in, it's going to be nothing but this idea, that idea. Everybody's saying this, everybody's saying that. You know, so it's going to be, I think the mental, I think your ability to mentally block out the bullshit or sift through the bullshit to get actual pieces of real intel, I think that's going to be one of the, I think for a prepper, because we got the food, we got the water, we got the beans. I think the hardest thing is going to be the mental aspect of keeping your shit, you know, tight when everybody else is losing theirs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that's going to be like the worst part of it.
That's where I go into, you know, at the end of all my videos, you know, of when you prepare your mind properly, things will start to fall into place. And that's that whole aspect of preparedness, that you can have all the beans and water and shirts and ammo and guns, and you can have all that you want. If you're not mentally prepared to do what is necessary to protect what is yours, first off, to protect your group, second off, to protect everything about that, and to be able to handle them situations in a way that we're not, you know, I mean, I've said it before. Just watch how people freak out on Black Friday. Watch how people freak out when the food stamps, something goes wrong with the system and the food stamps are 3 days late. Watch how someone freaks out with a flat tire on the side of the road. You know, they just wig out, man, just like, you know. So you can imagine when there's no communication, nothing is working. That means your water's not working as well. You know, because all that stuff, all them pumps, all that stuff is all electronic.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to have to start to establish pretty quickly, you know, because the intel is going to be important. I mean, it's going to absolutely be vital to what moves you actually do move forward with, you know, of how you go on different directions. So, you know, the intel thing for me is never going to stop. Like we're going to be doing everything we can constantly to gather intel.
Well, you brought up ham radios earlier, and that's exactly what I bought with the first Stimmy that went around like 2 years ago. I know where the repeater is where I live. There's only one within quite a few miles. And you'll be able to snag a little something, even if everything's happening on secure lines and whatever. Between that and even other types of radio, you'll pick up some shit. You'll be able to, hopefully it's in a language you can understand, but still, you'll pick it up. You can tune in without having to actually try to communicate yourself. You can still tune in.
Right. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
All right. It's been 2 months. All right. After 2 months, you are now starting to accept the new normal. You have to hike 10 miles round trip every day or two to check for news from your neighbor with the ham radio. The latest scuttlebutt, still rumors, people. The latest rumor is that China and Russia have initiated a preemptive attack against the U.S. with an EMP, but no nukes and no news of any kind of an invasion as of yet. And it's been 2 months. Now, tell me about the next 2 years.
Well, that's really hard to say, because there are so many things outside of your 10-mile radius that can go on that you never get any intel on. You have no clue of what's going on, and that's the hard part of planning out for 2 years, because you just don't know. My personal opinion, I think you just continue on what you're doing. You start making sure, because there's, like in my neck of the woods, there's greenhouses and stuff, and you just start establishing that, hey, we're on our own, and we have community meetings, and talk about this and discuss this and say, look, if we want to survive, these are things we have to do. We have to garden. We have to, there's hundreds of thousands of cows around here, man. I can drive in any direction from my house. In 10 minutes, I run into herds and herds of cows, everywhere. So, I mean, there's establishing the eating and drinking order, the water, because we're going to have ways of purifying that water. So, I'm gonna start meeting with these city people, you know what I'm saying, like the water department guys, the gas, natural gas guys, things like that, starting to set up these ways to go ahead and get the natural gas back going. That could be a lifesaver, in any community. Getting the water figured out, if there's something we can do, the pumps down there, maybe we take a 67 model Chevrolet pickup that somebody has down the road that runs great, and we hook it up somehow with the transmission and the rear end on it, and hook it up to the pumps to pump water for a certain amount of time to fill everybody's tank. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. I mean, to me, you're going to have to get back to old school thinking, establishing wells. I know a guy here, we've seen him in chats before. Some of y'all may remember him or not, but his name is Water Well Guy 99. Mm-hmm. He lives not very far from me, and I've met him in person. So, I'm gonna, people like that are going to be key, just, I mean, to me, that's what you do, the security, I can't preach it enough. Security is going to be key. You're going to have to establish some ground rules immediately. You know what I'm saying? Especially after the 2 weeks. I mean, and you start doing this community and people start establishing, and especially after the 2 months, we know lights ain't coming back on. You know, I'm gonna feel that by 2 months, you probably gathered enough intel to know, hey, we're on our own right now. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a while. It's going to be a minute. We better sit down and figure this one out. You know, and I think that's when, you know, the initial panic, people are going to panic. I do agree. Constitutional Carpenter said something earlier, I think it was, about how the stores are going to be looted out quick. You know, that's in some areas that's going to be true. We have plans in place. A group here have plans in place for things like that. We have discussed it, even down to like the Tractor Supply and the hardware stores and stuff. You know, we've talked about a lot of this stuff. A lot of stuff I just don't want to say, man. It just, you know, can't say. Can't say. But yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the way you're going to have to go from there.
Okay. Roots?
Ghost always talks about after SHTF, it's all about the rebuild. He's said for quite a long time, I'm not preparing for like an event per se. I'm preparing for the rebuild. So to me, it's also in who you know in those trades that have those skills. And I actually have faith in the human ingenuity and the will of people. You're not going to see people fighting over crayons at a time like that. You will see people who have XYZ skills coming together and getting that rebuild going, because that is the spirit of this country. It is. I know they want it to be division and fucked up shit. Well, at the end of the day, we are all in it together if it's something that extreme. Nobody's going to be stopping and asking your what you identify as. It'll be what can you do and how can you help? And if it's nothing, get the fuck out of my way. You're going to be on the spit.
Right. And that's, I can't believe you picked up on that, Roots, because that was like where my entire mindset was when doing this scenario, was because of my belief on, you know, the whole thing. So is there anything extra you wanted to add to your 2-year?
No, I really do think the main focus would be that rebuild. And right. There are some ingenious shit. If we have to make Chinese water power water wheels, watch, it'll happen. People will find a way.
All you got to do is take one of them rowdy kids of yours with ADHD, put a fan belt around the back wheel of a 10-speed, sit them beside the creek, and let them start pedaling. You got a water pump. Wear them out, man. Wear them 100%. Out.
Well, yeah. There is a lot of ways, you know, you can pump water and do things like that. You know, there's a lot of ways you can actually make fuel. You know, especially when you live in a more country setting, you're going to have a lot of diesel trucks, which you can use vegetable oils, you know, burn oils and stuff like that. You can make stuff that will burn in a diesel. It may not, you know, you may not be able to hook a trailer to it and pull 7,000 pounds with it, because it may not produce enough horsepower, but it may produce enough horsepower to put it on 2,000 RPMs and just let it sit there and run and turn a pump.
Right.
You know, these kind of things, you know, there's ram pumps, you know, that you can build, that'll pump water without any electricity whatsoever. You know, there's lots of little things that you can do. I know, for instance, in this area, we have a lot of gas wells, gas wells everywhere. Every single gas well out there is all run off of solar batteries and actually communication devices. You know, they send out signals and stuff. So, you know, some of the more computer smart people, we could probably use a lot of them pieces to, you know, maybe start getting a stronger signal, you know, because there's a lot of big giant antennas there, you know, and we could probably use them for communication purposes, and not to mention all the solar all the solar panels and all the batteries and everything going on. And we also have a recreation lake here, which a lot of people need to think about these. Recreation lakes have boat docks that people leave their boats there all the time. And it's not people from around that area a lot of times. So you've got batteries, trolling motor batteries out the wazoo in boats. You know, you've got CBs. A lot of boats have CBs, things like that. A lot of communication devices, and a lot of them are parked up under the docks. And some of these boats, you know, especially if it's a pontoon style, it may be enclosed in aluminum and enclosed in just enough that maybe a communication device does work.
Well, if you've got a shed with a metal roof and it's grounded to the earth, there's a really good chance that the stuff inside, as long as your roof isn't too high, there's a really good chance that the stuff inside would be shielded. A really, really good chance.
Right there, Kentucky, great one. 12-volt village pumps. Yeah.
I mean, hand pumps, you can make a hand pump out of a bicycle crank in a heartbeat. You can make a hand pump. I mean, if you can, ingenuity, when you get your brain working, you will. I mean, come on, people. We didn't just wake up one morning and all this technology was here for us. People thought about shit and they invented stuff. That part's never going to, the curiosity is never going to go away. You know, and like, here's my pull on the whole 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. Honestly, coming out of the gate, my mindset is not going to change. Whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, I don't know that at the beginning. All I know is that everything turned off all at once. So there's a 50-50 chance it was an EMP. The other one is a CME. And if it was at nighttime, I'm on the backside of the earth. The CME is not going to affect me. You know, it's going to affect everybody else. It'll take down a few satellites, but there would be spotty things working. You know, so being that it was at night, I would immediately, if everything shut down, vehicles on 9 yards, I'm immediately shifting to EMP. Once I shift to EMP, there are no short-term time frames. There is no quick relief. There is no quick fix. It's a long-term. The world has now changed. Nothing will ever be the same. It's going to be a long, decades-long rebuild, because when those transformers go, I mean, that's not a quick fix. We don't have any backups. It takes years to build one. We need hundreds, if not thousands, to get the grid going. So there is no quick repair for that because we don't have any backup. So I'm immediately going long term. Like day 2 out of the gate, I'm networking with the neighbors, as many people as I can get to. I'm going to feel them out. I'm going to see what they're about, where their mind's at, what they're thinking. Are they a snowflake, or, you know, what they are? I'm going to immediately start networking and trying to form a community, at least mentally, to know who I can trust, who I can't trust. Before, I mean, this is within the first, 48 hours before they start to really go caveman, because I've been through quite a few natural disasters, multiple hurricanes. And the last big one I went through in Florida, we were without power for right at a month. It was like 22 days, 24 days, something like that. And the first 7 days, it was, everybody's outside cooking their food on the grills. It was a big party. All the neighbors were laughing and giggling. We were drinking all the booze before it got hot. We were cooking all the food before it went bad, if you didn't have a way to keep it cold. So it was like a big hurricane party. You know what I mean? It's like stupid people not knowing any better. And they're just out there, they're networking without knowing that they're networking. And that's going to happen again. If this happens, that will happen again. Maybe not so much in the big cities, but in the suburbs and the surrounding areas and rural areas, it'll happen again. It'll be like, people don't believe it. You know what I mean? They don't believe it until the pain starts. So you're going to have probably a window of 72 hours, maybe even up to a week before people start losing their mind. And in that time, you can make some serious moves, whether it's intel gaining on who's a target, who's an asset. You can make some serious moves and go ahead and start building your infrastructure. Who can you rely on? When you were walking down the street, who offered you a bottle of water when you didn't ask for it and you didn't even know their name? You know, they were just outside helping their neighbors. That's an asset. You know, he's a target to somebody else. But if you flip your brain, you're going, all right, I got an asset. I got somebody here that actually cares about other people and their well-being. You know, we need to take care of this dude. You know what I mean? So that's the way my brain works. Is I'm going to immediately start networking. I'm going to immediately start working on the infrastructure. You know, the first questions I want to ask my neighbors is, what do you do for a living? Wow. You know, how many kids you got? Where I'm going to try to figure out their brain. I mean, do their kids live close enough where there's a good chance they can walk on over, or do their kids live cross country and they're going to be mentally fucked up for the next 2 years? You know, you know what I mean? I'm going to figure out who's who and what's what, and go ahead and try to start building that infrastructure, so to speak, in my brain. Because if I know it's an EMP, and it shit ain't coming back quick, people. If it's an EMP, if they do an airburst, like up in the stratosphere, wherever it's at, and they take it out, you know, I mean, they go high enough, they can get the entire continental United States, some of Mexico, and most of Canada with one bomb. You know what I mean? So if that happens, like it or not, it's Stone Age. We're in the 1800s, so there's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well go ahead and start working for the rebuild. That's where you hear the rebuild. All right,
it'll go biblical and also Darwin Awards at the same time. Real quick.
We're going to be handing out Darwin Awards left and right. You'll just be walking down the street passing them out. You know what I mean?
Darwin ribbons.
I did want to say for one of the things for me, for the ones that are going to be, and now this will be within probably the first month, you know, you know, once we're going to be trying to figure out the vehicle situation. Like I said, you know, find some of the vehicles and see if we can get some of them running. And also there's a lot of horses around here. And so, you know, we're going to try to establish a setup to where, you know, we've got horseback for transportation to go to the outer boundaries.
Well, you also got to realize too, I'm glad you brought that up, Backwoods. I meant to say something about it and I forgot. You know, there's a reason, like when you watch Westerns and some people go, oh my God, they hang a man for stealing a damn horse. There's a reason. There's a reason why you got hung for stealing horses. That was the most important thing you could own.
Yep.
You couldn't get anything done without a horse back in the 1800s. You had to have a horse, if not multiple horses. There's a reason why you got hung for that. A reason. I mean, you didn't even go to trial for stealing a horse. At least they gave you a trial for shooting somebody. You steal a horse, they hang you right there, right in the street.
We need to bring back drawing and quartering.
You know, exactly. Okay. All right. I had this set up with two endings to this. And I was going to give you both of them, Backwoods, but since Roots is here, I'm going to give you one and I'll give her the other one. And this is kind of like, I'm just going to read, you know, the rest of the book basically from the prologue and kind of see where your brain, how it worked into it and how you think your life would be. All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll let the lady go first.
Okay. Lady's going first.
Well, lady.
Okay.
Bring it.
The female.
All right. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
Right.
There was never an invasion. They never wanted a conventional war or invasion because both China and Russia or the invaders, and this is all hypothetical, YouTube. They knew that both sides, it would be a complete bloodbath. I mean, 400 million Americans and a whole bunch of guns. They knew it would be a complete bloodbath. So their goal wasn't to invade the continental United States. But now the continental United States is essentially back in the 1800s. I mean, we're dark. While the rest of the world is moving on. China and Russia are now dual superpowers. Russia controls most of, if not all, of the natural gas and oil flowing to the world. And China has complete control of the worldwide supply chain. The U.S. is completely embargoed. We're blockaded, the whole 9 yards. Nobody's getting to us. There's nothing that we can do because there are no other nations, Europe included, that can stand against Russia and China. So they basically control everything, and we're in the 1800s. Tell me how that future looks for you, Roots.
Shit. I'm going
As
to
an
put on a short skirt and a long jacket while I'm going the distance in my garden. Like, for real, for real. There are things we can control and things we cannot control. And if that's where we're at, the number one cause of depression is a feeling of lack of control over your own life. So I am going to hold the fuck on to whatever I feel like I can control and do, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm not going to give up. So in a sense, with what you described, we'd kind of be North Korea, you know? And is that a bad thing? Honestly, is that a bad thing? That doesn't even scare me.
man,
Legit, it doesn't scare me. That thought does not scare me.
I swear to God, you and I think alike. Because in my mind, that's a happy ending.
Right?
I mean, if you think about it, they're scared to come here. We're good. They did the EMP. It took all of America's worldwide dominance power away. But what they can't take away is we don't need a supply chain. We don't need anybody else for anything.
That's right.
We have enough oil in the dirt. We have enough natural gas. We have enough coal. We have more farmland, more fertile farmland than anywhere else on the planet. We don't need anything from anyone else. So, I mean, it would be it would be rough. It would be starting over. But you know what? When you look at the world today and all this woke bullshit, honestly, that to me, I mean, I wrote a fairy tale. That's kind of like a happy ending. It's going to suck. But you know what? I think the people of America, especially the youth, could use that reality check. You know what I mean?
I come from a long line of pioneers, Mormon pioneers, frontiers people, loggers, hardworking motherfuckers. If they had given up and pussied out, I wouldn't be here to torture you now. That's not the stock I come from.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think that is legit like a happy ending. There will be it'll be tough. It'll be rough, you know, especially the medical care is going to suffer, you know, but the thing is, with the ability, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be black market opportunities. There's going to be stuff coming up through Mexico. There's going to be stuff coming down through Canada. So solar will be up and running pretty quick, you know, because the parts to bring a solar panel back to life, if it got fried doing an EMP, are very, very small. I mean, the electronic little box is only, you know, a few inches by a few inches. So, you know, so there will be places where you can get power back pretty quick.
Yep. Moonchild has some lady toys that are solar powered. We can just harvest her stash.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, but like to me, like removing us from the world stage, removing our opinion and our beliefs from everybody else, and them just leaving us the fuck alone, that's a win-win.
Yep.
It's gonna suck. I mean, it's gonna be rough. It'll be tough, but it'll be a hard restart. You know what I mean? And I think it would be like awesome. Literally.
I really do believe that if something like that did occur, there's going to be a lot of deaths.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to perish after that first couple of months. You know, it's you know, especially in these big cities. You know, if you have a real big major city near you, you know, you may want to have a fallback location, or at least have some way to set up a perimeter. You know, there's certain ways to do things that you can keep, or you can make it really hard for people to get to you. You know, you can fell trees. You know, there's a lot of this stuff that you can do to keep people, you know, to make it harder, at least for people to get to you. So, you know, you're going to have to worry about that, you know, get that taken care of. As far as it goes for the paid thugs working for the elites and things, you know, once the power goes out like that, I think there's going to be a rise of certain individuals from you know what I'm saying, and I don't think it's going to be the people that most people think it is. I think they're going to be more people like us. You know what I'm saying? That rise to the cream of the crop and establishes, and we don't allow certain elites. You know, these congressmen and shit. You know, they're like, you're like, no, you got no more power.
Here's the thing, and Constitutional Carpenter's got a good comment. It says that's a happy ending. Realistically, chaos would be necessary means for Chinese peacekeepers to be invited in, and half the country would welcome that. Yes and no. I can see why you would believe that, but I thought long and hard on this. And here's the thing, China. All right, you can't go help somebody else fix their roof if your roof is leaking. China cannot control its population. I mean, they're controlling them, but they're only controlling them because they're there to do that. If China sent a massive force anywhere to do something, that leaves the door wide open for their, 2 billion people to just wreak havoc. I don't think China has any intentions of ever invading anybody unless they're right next door to them, if they can keep this technological advance and just, push a button and take them out, which is essentially what they would have done here. My thing is the elites, the powerful elites, as soon as that switch flips, they got no more power. They got no more Twitter. They got no more YouTube control. They got no more mainstream media. They have no way to force their agenda down your throats, number one. Number two, they do not have the knowledge how to feed themselves or their families or stay safe. They're going to rely on the system to do that for them. And let me tell you something, after a couple of weeks, and the U.S. military and everybody realized an EMP went off and we're basically been ass fucked back into the Stone Age, they're not coming to work. They're going home and they're taking care of their families. They're not going to be bodyguarding senators and congressmen and stuff like that. Those jackasses are going to be in that bunker underneath the Capitol or over in Virginia, and they'll stay there until the food runs out, and then there'll be skeletons on the wall that will excavate a few hundred years from now and paintbrush the dust off their bones and make up some fancy story about how important they were. I don't think peacekeepers will be an issue, because I don't think anybody wants to invest the time, money, effort, and blood in trying to keep peace in a nation that can police itself. Our people can police itself. I think chaos will ensue shortly afterwards, but here's the thing. When people realize that nobody's coming to help them, they're going to learn how to help themselves. They're going to band together. They're going to, you're going to have tribes and you're going to have groups. People are going to band together and they're going to do what's best for the group or their community, because it's also best for them. It's just the way it is. I think it's going to be ugly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I ain't going to sugarcoat it and say it's a super perfect happy ending, but in reality, if you look at it and you weigh all the pluses and minuses, with the way the world's going now, this is legitimately, I think, one of the best outcomes we could hope for, and I think the 1800s were kind of awesome, actually, but it is what it is. But I mean, we will have leaders rise. There'll be black markets. There'll be what do you call them? Warlords. There's going to be all this crazy stuff, but in the long run, people are going to come together. They're going to put that shit down. You're going to have certain people rise up in certain cities or certain areas that are going to be leaders, and it'll just be a basic restart of, we'll have a new, a form of government that will be actually of the people, by the people, for the people, not the other way around. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that really ticks me off about politics nowadays is you'll have politicians go on TV with an ad talking about their beliefs and what I'm a politician. This is what I believe in. You should elect me because this is, and now you've got several million Americans trying to pick and choose which guy's beliefs most closely relate to what they believe, and you elect him. That's completely backwards, people. That's not how politics work. All right. You don't elect somebody to office based on their beliefs and how they're going to vote. You elect somebody to office that's going to vote for you and your beliefs. I just represent your beliefs. My beliefs have nothing to do with making laws in DC. It's a public service job. If I was a city councilman or even a senator, I would legit have a website set up and say we were voting on, the Second Amendment or abortion or whatever it was. You can log into the secure website and we're going to vote here in my community on what you want me to say when I get there. I'm not just going to go say what I want to say. That's not how it works. It's backwards. And that's why we're getting fucked every single day. And they're saying it to our faces. You know, it's like Herschel Walker with the abortion thing when he was a kid. He wanted to deny it. And don't get me wrong, I like Herschel Walker. I hope he wins. But, you know, dude, what happened to just being honest? Why don't you just get on TV and say, you know what? Yes, I did. I paid for an abortion when I was young. It was a mistake. And I tell you what, I wish that a $400 was not an a legal option for me at the time, because then we wouldn't be having this conversation and there would be another child alive breathing on the planet. All right. I made a mistake. I was a kid. I was stupid. I was young, and it was wrong. Now deliver your speech. It's all good. You know, but when politicians, when's the last time you saw a politician get on camera and say he fucked up? He was wrong. He's sorry.
Accountability.
So you're telling me that all 200 and something plus of those governing people in DC never make a fucking mistake? Come on, man. That's why it's wrong. I mean, you're supposed to fuck up. That's what we do. We're human beings. You messed up. I'm sorry. Can we move on? If my apology isn't good enough, I'll get the hell out of here. It is what it is.
I wanted to speak on that. Speak on the thing with the chat.
Why is YouTube after me? I ain't done nothing.
I don't think it's. I'm not sure that it's just your channel. But I can't see any of them, you know. And now Pilgrim, Virginia was saying she could see Pilgrim in this chat, but not on the YouTube deal. But I can see
messages. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Tennessee, a while ago, it blocked him or whatever, and I, you know, allowed the chat. You know what I'm saying? How it does.
Yeah.
So saying Big Chat is blocked also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't understand why. I mean, I've only been back on YouTube, 2 weeks? I don't think I've done anything to piss anybody off. But if I would have, they would have sent me a strike. I know somebody's probably reporting.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I know that Ghost, because it's your channel, and because, you know, like us mods on here, we would be able to see if their comments were being hidden.
Mm-hmm.
We would be able to see it.
Yeah,
I'm not even seeing it.
I don't see it either. They're being stopped before they even get through.
Oh well, nothing I can do about it now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll carry on.
Back to the story. We see you, Cherokee.
Hey, Cherokee.
See, they just tried to block POTBs, and I could see that.
I believe you, TT1, because I received a very angry estrogen-filled email the other day. And I punched that bitch square in the mouth, so it is what it is. Anyway, back to the story. Real fast, just so everybody knows, those that are listening that you can't chat, we really super apologize. It's not us. There's nothing we can do about it. Because you're not blocked on Ghost Channel. No, I haven't blocked anybody.
Yeah, and so I don't know what to do about it. I really don't.
Hey, we got a new follower. Welcome. Blue Skies Mom.
Yep.
Welcome.
Cool.
All right, the last part of the story, the second ending scenario. This one's for you, Backwoods. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. After the 2 years, we get some whistleblowers, and we get news from, people on the inside that the actual EMP was actually detonated by our own government. Losing control of the masses, losing control of social media, losing control of the ability to censor people, hypothetically YouTube. They completely just whacked the entire population back into the Stone Age, obviously except for the ruling masses in their EMP-hardened bunkers and the whole 9 yards. So basically it was a spanking. We got spanked. And now the word is that convoys of troops, along with peacekeepers from undisclosed continents, more than likely the UN, are now effectively sealing off the big cities and trying to gain control of the populations there before their intent is to spread out into the rural communities and the suburbs later on and establish a new world order. What's your life going to be like, Backwoods? What's this new country going to look like?
I'm gonna say that my hands are gonna smell of burnt gunpowder. I'm just saying at that point, I to me that's the last ditch effort. You either fight to death or you bow on your knees and take whatever it is they want to do. And if anybody has been keeping up with what they want to do, you're gonna know you're pretty much gonna be a prisoner the rest of your life. And so are your children and your children's children. It is time to it is time to have a high velocity exchange of ideas.
Right.
I can look at that situation and see it as completely terrible, completely horrible, but I also know that I have a responsibility to my family and kids and neighbors and friends and community. And then, with getting the intel that they're effectively moving into the larger cities, it was our own people that did it with help from the outside. That tells me one of two things. Now we are vulnerable because we're still functioning. So we are vulnerable to the outside world. So there's going to be some new friendships being made across the pond. But what I'm also thinking about is now you're looking at, you have to take care of your people. It's your level of pucker factor is going to depend on where you're located in relation to major metropolitan areas, because they want to seize control of the most people as possible. That's going to be LA, DC, New York, Miami, Portland, Seattle, the big cities. And then maybe work out into the middle of nowhere. They may not even focus on that because the manpower required to control 2 million people in a city versus the manpower to control 2 million people over a 5 million square mile area are completely different.
Right.
So the investment they would have to put into it outweighs the gain, except for places like the farmlands, the oil wells, the major infrastructure places like the seaports and the riverways, things like that. There will be a presence there. So honestly, if you're out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, your life may not change at all for decades, like for legitimate long, because it's going to take them just as long to put the grid back together as it would the other way, because the stuff doesn't exist right now. Right. So it's going to take. So you're legitimately, your life probably isn't going to change that much for a while. Your other option is to effectively migrate somewhere else, north or south. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It would be a tyrannical rule, obviously. It could be a hard reset. And honestly, depending on who did it, and I know this sounds weird, but look at society right now, our beliefs with the gender thing, with the abortion thing, with the free speech thing, with the 2A thing. Look at how screwed up it is right now. Maybe a hard restart wouldn't be that bad.
Right.
Maybe the next people coming in would kind of want to win over the people a little bit and give back instead of take all the time. See, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, because you're not effectively going to be able to rule a nation of 400 million people with guns. You're going to have to make some kind of concessions.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that would probably happen if something like that was going on, I think there would probably be people, that are sent out to more rural areas like this to meet with the leader of said community and say, hey, look, here's what's going on. Here's what we want to do. So, I could see that happening. And it's going to be, I mean, man, to take what we have now, as far as it goes for, man, it gets cold in the house. I walk over there and push a button and the heat comes on and everything. It's raining outside, man. It's cold. It sucks. And, I just want to sit down and watch a movie. Things like that, having a refrigerator that I got a cold glass of milk in the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? People, I think, are going to miss that so badly because we've had it for so long. it probably would be easy for peacekeeper type people to
Oh, yeah.
move in
Yeah.
and,
That's
and
my,
say, hey, look, we can reestablish all this for y'all.
you just segued into the last thing I was going to say. This, what I was going to do is get an active vote from the chat and you guys. All right, scenario number one, we're back in the 1800s. We're completely isolated. We're on our own, and we're just rebuilding at our own speed, doing our own thing. It's 1850 again. You know, we've got a few steam locomotives still in museums we could get back on the tracks, but we're back in the 1800s with no help from anybody, just us. Knowledge that we learned from our parents, no help from anybody, no threat of invasion. We did a 200-year time jump in reverse. And everybody's leaving us alone. We're the black sheep of the family. They're just leaving us in our little hole to die, because now we're 200 years behind them and we'll probably never catch up. So they don't have to worry about anything. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is it was a self-inflicted from somebody up top. And their offer is, yeah, it hurt. It had to be done. They blame it on a few people. They push it under the rug. They get mainstream media back up and functioning. And they're offering the creature comforts, you know, at a quicker rate for subservience. Which scenario would you guys in the chat choose? Scenario number one, we're back in the 1800s, or scenario number two, where we're doing this whole tit for tat for the creature comforts? Which would you rather go through?
Well, I want to address something while they're answering.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger said that, you know, just imagine in this scenario, you would never have any idea what the weather would be like. That's not true. That's actually not true.
Yeah.
I've been in the woods my whole life. I've been out on the lake my whole life. Number one, I want to say Farmer's Almanac. If y'all do not buy a hard copy of Farmer's Almanac each year, you should. You should.
Yeah.
You should always keep a Farmer's Almanac. I'm telling you,
Things deadly accurate.
They are deadly accurate. It is actually crazy how accurate they really are. Number two, if you pay attention to the animals, you know, the birds, the squirrels, things like that, you can tell what's coming. You can tell by pressure changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, them people around you, the older school people that says, man, I'm really getting a headache. It's going to rain.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, it's going to fucking rain.
My dreams are snow's coming. That shit is true, dude. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You can also take persimmons, crack them open, a seed, and it'll tell you what's going to happen too. You wouldn't have access to the Farmer's Almanac, and I was saying in general for the majority. Why would I not have access to the Farmer's Almanac? Because I don't have internet. They make hard copies.
Well, you just look up at the sky. You know, some of the oldest human communication ever found was constellations and the phases of the moon on tusks.
I mean, it's nice being able to watch the weather, but they usually get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like legitimately, I like watching the radar. You know, because the radar is pretty cool. You can see things coming. But the thing you can see it in real life with the cloud cover. When you learn the way the clouds move and when you're looking at them, it's like the first tornado I ever saw, I saw it happen and I saw what the clouds did. It was freaky weird. But like the only situation I could see where it would be dangerous is obviously the tornadoes. But living back in the 1800s, when you saw the storms coming, you didn't wait for a horn. You went ahead and took shelter because there might be a tornado coming out of this thunderstorm, you know, at any time. So you just went ahead and prepared. You didn't wait for somebody to tell you, hey, it's 5 miles down the road. And the only other issue I could see where it would be a huge issue would be on the coastline of the East Coast and the Gulf with the hurricanes. But I've been through 4, and even then you can tell something bad's fixing to happen a couple of days out. Like even here in the Carolinas, when you look up and you saw the wind bands, there's only one thing that makes those, and that's a hurricane. So when you start seeing those bands coming in, those cloud bands coming in, you know there's fixing to be a storm. So you got time to kind of do your best. But honestly, it doesn't matter. A lot of people are going to die. It's going to suck. But I mean, that's life. What are you going to do?
Well, the thing about the electricity and printing presses, you know, there are such thing as still hand printing presses these days. I know where one's at right now. So I mean that, you
I
know,
got
how
one in
did
my
they
basement.
how did they get information out before there was electricity? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's
I have a printing press in my
I
basement.
don't. Well, I know, but I don't. I want people to understand that is exactly the mentality right there that is going to allow these peacekeepers to come back in, because you want your damn electricity back. You want to know if there's a tornado tomorrow, you know, because you want to be able to run down to McDonald's and buy some fucking French fries, you know. And people are so
Like the huge thing is we survived without electricity for 99% of human existence.
Yep.
Only this last 1% that we've been spoiled with electricity. Everything we're doing now, we can pretty much do without electricity if you put your mind to it. Like you can legit, not everything. I mean, probably not air condition your house. Probably not, have a freezer. But there are ways to preserve meat and preserve food without a freezer. We do it on a weekly basis. I do it. I'm canning something every week. You know what I mean? There are ways to, you can salt your meat. There are ways to preserve your food.
Yep.
Period. I mean, if you've got a creek running by your house, that water's cold. It's usually nice and chilly. You can literally put your stuff in a waterproof container and submerge it in the creek, and it will last for quite a while. If it's the winter time and the power goes out, throw everything in your fridge out in the fucking yard. Put it in the snow. It's going to be fine.
right. Exactly.
It's true though. Yeah.
I've got a whole hindquarter of a deer that I pulled out of the freezer because I put all this new deer in there, you know, and this was like one of my last oldest deer legs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thawing it out. Well, the sumbitch has been in my ice chest for 3 days with no ice on it, and it's still hard as a rock, man, because it ain't got over 40 degrees here.
Yeah.
You know, so the panic is not going to be, if it's wintertime, the panic shouldn't be, oh my God, the electricity's out, the freezer, everything's going to run. I'll take the shit outside, man. A lot of meats, as long as they stay under 40 degrees, 42 below, they're going to be fine for 3, 4, 5 days, which will give you time. I mean, you're going to, obviously if you've got 200 pounds of meat in your freezer, 3 or 4 days after it's thawed, it's not, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, damn,
it's like,
how do you eat all this? But that's where you start coming into using your salts and stuff to preserve your meat, just like they did back then. Salt pork, God dang, pork is one of the quickest things to go bad, and yet people would have pork out, for days because they had, it was salted down, salt pork.
It's like the stuff in my freezer that I keep in my deep freeze. Everything in there is divided up into portions. Divided up into meal sizes so it can be taken out, thawed out, cooked, and eaten that day, not have to be stored. I don't need to worry about wasting food because I don't have a fridge or a freezer. Like all the meat, like the hamburger meat, I bust all of it up into 1 pound portions, because you get a thing of hamburger helper or whatever, throw a pound to it, boom, it's done. But so I can open the freezer. And I did 2 things with my freezer. Number one, before I put anything in it, I filled up probably 10 1-gallon Ziploc bags. I filled them up with water and I laid them flat across the bottom of my freezer. So I've got like probably a 6-inch layer of ice on the bottom of my freezer.
Right.
So even when the power goes out, my freezer, I can turn it off right now. In Florida, when we were without power for 2, almost 3 weeks, my freezer was good the entire time. Even when the power went out, I didn't open it unless I absolutely had to, and it was really, really quick. That's why I have a top opening instead of that door opening, because that door just lets everything out. I like the top, right? Because the heat rises, and if it's rising through cold stuff, the heat's already at the top. That's the only thing that's leaving. But for the whole 3 weeks, I didn't lose anything in my freezer. We ate some of it, but I didn't lose anything in the freezer. And what I would do when I knew what I wanted to cook for the next 2 days, I took that out of the freezer, and then I put that in the refrigerator freezer up top. And I used it as ice or I put it in my coolers, the food that was stalling. While it was stalling, it was keeping everything else in my cooler, my drinks and stuff like that, and condiments. It was keeping it cold. I didn't lose any food.
Right.
3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point. We actually have some of that too. I didn't think about saying that, and I'm glad you brought that up. But you know, that's an old school trick, you know, from people that live way out. That, you know, like my parents, they live where they live. Their electricity comes from this other town, and it goes way out through the stretches out through the woods. So when we have bad storms, you know, things happen out there, tree falls, whatever. They lose power a lot, you know, and sometimes it's for 3 or 4 days before they can get it back on. And that's something that, you know, kind of an old school trick is to put ice bags, you know, solid, you know, do the water, you know, do a solid, make solid blocks of ice in your freezer, and it will make your food last a lot longer.
Yeah, there are ways. You know, I mean, that's why I'm actually a big fan of the number one scenario, because I think it's what we need. I think America could use a good shot in the ass, a wake up, a reality check, get back to basics, learn how to do shit. Our kids don't know how to do anything.
I know.
They cannot function. Dude, I'm in my class, and I can't tell you how many times a day I have one of the kids say, "What time is it, Mr. My name?" And I point at the clock on the wall. I don't know how to read that. If it's not a digital clock that doesn't tell, they have no clue what time it is. I'm like, you seriously cannot read a clock? It is insane. When I took away their computers, I make them use dictionaries to look words up. They're like, what? I had to do a class, a 1-hour class for each grade level, and teach them how to use a dictionary. And here's the messed up part. They freaking love it. It is like a game to them. It was hilarious. They're like, can we use the dictionaries today? Can we use the dictionary? Every day you're going to use them because you ain't using your computer. And
literal word search.
Math, I don't let them use calculators for math. Do you realize, hey, Milo, what's going on?
Hey,
Do you
Milo.
realize that our kids in schools today don't know how to do math? They don't know how to do long division. They don't know how to multiply. They use the calculator. I make them do it the old-fashioned way. I'm like, nope, don't know. I'm going to teach you how to do long division. That way, in any scenario, in any situation, you can. If you can't do math, you have to be able. You got to know how to do math. If you can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you're gonna fall flat on your ass in any kind of school you go to.
Yeah, I think that got to reset my camera here. Yeah, I think it's a shame because, I mean, you can just go to a convenience store or a, you know, well, especially a fast food restaurant, and let that keypad screw up, man. And
they're done. They shut down. They close.
Yeah, they're just like, you know. And I'm just looking at them like, seriously, you can't count change, you know?
No. If it doesn't tell them exactly what to give back, they don't know how to do it. They'll look you dead in the eyes and tell you I don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it.
Yep. I don't know how to do that. Man, it's a shame, bro. I mean, ooh.
All right, guys, I've got 10 minutes left before the members only, so I want to go ahead and shut this down, and we can recap this on the members only if you guys want to, or we can just shoot the shit and talk about some other stuff, you know, if I'm still not shadow banned on the network. Why are they picking on me? I don't do anything to anybody.
I don't know. Let's see what happens in the members live for those that are members and see what happens.
For those of you that showed up, I appreciate it. Hey, Farmer Son, what's going on? Forest Monster. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the scenario. It wasn't all blood and guts like you were probably thinking it would be, because I wanted it to be more mental and focusing on the potential. Everybody wants to focus on the firefight. I want to focus on what we do to clean up the battlefield afterwards. You know what I mean? Because yes, point A is to survive, but what are you going to do after you survive that initial contact? There has to be if you don't have a reason to fight or to resist, then why are you doing it in the first place? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I kind of like, I want to be more mental about it and really, you know, go deep and go, but yeah, you know, because you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It could go one way, it could go the other way. We could wake up tomorrow and everything would be back to normal. We're best friends with Russia. You know, who knows? You know, nobody knows. But it's good
Well,
to
it
think
was
about.
fun, you guys, for sure.
Yep.
Enjoyed
I
the
enjoyed it.
exercise.
Yeah, thank all you guys for hanging out. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. If you're a member, I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes or so as soon as I can finish getting it set up. I may be a little bit late. Hopefully I won't be, but just be patient. I'll be there as soon as I can. And you guys got the link, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I think I'm pretty sure I sent it to Tribe and Native. I can't remember who else. Anyways, hopefully I'll see you guys there if you're members. If not, I appreciate your support on this channel. If you're interested in becoming a member, go ahead. I can't remember. I think it's like a $1.99 or something. I can't even remember. It's been so long. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you there. If not, it's cool. We'll see you next time.
That is $1.99 a month, by the way. Come on, you can come up with $1.99 for a month. Jeez.
All right, guys.
I'm broke and I got it.
We're out of here. See you guys later.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. I'll see you guys in the